Good morning. We are on lesson 5 from My Grandmother's Hands, and this particular lesson that we are going to cover, I really and truly want you to sit with it, regardless of who you are, but especially if you identify as white. So, as you all have been seeing on TikTok, there has been, and other social media platforms for that matter, there has been a lot of big feelings around Hillman talk and what it looks like to have white women come into these spaces and constantly feel the need to say, I want more, I want more, I want more, I want more. And it's like, no. There have been plenty of resources, plenty of educators, plenty of information online that allows you to go and look up the information. And just as I did that session about how to look up a research article, the same thing applies when it goes to looking up any piece of information. If you can search for cute shoes, if you can search for purple top, whatever you put your mind to be able to do, you can do it. So I find it very difficult when I hear this discourse online about, well, I don't know what to look and I don't know what to look for and I'm just starting. Okay. Just as you go search on Pinterest, just as you go search on this app for the latest drama, you too can search up information related to understanding the various topics that you are complaining about. So now we're going to jump into the lesson. And if you have a problem with whatever I just said, I need you to go sit with that. And as Portia and the White Woman Whisperer so eloquently state on a regular basis, I need you to write that down in your journal. Write your feelings down in your journal because I'm not going to allow it to happen in my comments. Thanks. Anyway, again, I'm going to read from the book, then I'm going to have a conversation. For most of our country's history, the black body was forced to serve white bodies. It was seen as a tool to be purchased from slave traders, stacked on shelves in the bellies of slave ships, purchased at auction, made to plant, weed, and harvest crops, pressed into service in support of white families' comfort, and used to build a massive agricultural economy. This arrangement was systematically maintained through murder, rape, mutilation, and other forms of trauma, as well as through institution, laws, regulations, norms, and beliefs. The white body often feels uncomfortable with this black self-management and self-agency. So I skipped a sentence on purpose. The black body sees the white body as privileged, controlling, and dangerous. It is deeply conflicted about the police body, which is sometimes sees as a source of protection, sometimes as a source of danger, and sometimes both at once. The police body senses that all bodies need its protection. However, it sees black bodies as often dangerous and disruptive, as well as superhumanly powerful and impervious to pain. It feels charged with controlling and subduing black bodies by any means necessary, including extreme force. None of this is rational, and much of it is not even conscious. A great deal of it is outright false, rooted in racialized myth. Some of it directly contradicts what we consciously believe, as well as much of our actual experience. But our bodies don't care about logic, truth, or cognitive experience. They care about safety and survival. They care about responding to a perceived threat, even when that threat is not real. As a result, our bodies scare the hell out of each other. Yes, I'm going to keep going. And you should be feeling uncomfortable. That is the purpose of this particular lesson. I'm going to skip to another chapter. This is chapter 3, Body to Body, Generation to Generation. But trauma also routinely spreads between bodies like a contagious disease. When someone with unhealed trauma chooses dirty pain over clean pain, again, the lessons all connect, the person may try to soothe his or her trauma by blowing it through another person using violence, rage, coercion, deception, betrayal, or emotional abuse. This never heals the trauma. Instead, it increases the first person's dirty pain by reinforcing harmful and aggressive survival strategies as standard operating procedure. It creates a sense of ongoing unease in the first person's body that he or she then must override. It may also provoke a reflexively defensive or aggressive response in the second person's body. Yeah. All jokes aside, all giggling aside, that this lesson is very important. In order for us as a society, in order for people who claim to be allies, I need you to understand this lesson very, very, very much so. Because in many instances, it is when you go to work and you overhear a coworker say something that is very harmful. We are currently hearing all of these swearing ins, and we just heard about the blacks and vaccine schedule. I find that deeply offensive to be referred to as the blacks. Those types of thoughts and ideologies or thoughts, I said that twice, but you get what I'm saying. Those types of things are very, very harmful. And if you are going to be on my email list, you're going to hear about the book Killing the Black Body and how over and over and over and over again, black bodies were used for experimentation. The father of modern gynecology experimented on black women unmedicated. No comfort, no tools, no nothing. The syphilis study was performed on black men. Henrietta Lacks. Within slavery, there were, vaccines. They were experimented, used, like black people were used to determine the efficacy of these things. I need you to begin the process of recognizing how these things get passed down generationally, and you have to learn that you have to do the work of going through clean pain in order to talk to that person at Christmas that have very harmful beliefs. You have to be okay that when you see a coworker, a black coworker specifically, if someone is not listening to them or they get cut off in a meeting over and over and over again, which is also my experience in corporate America as well as academic settings, I need you to say something. When you see someone being accosted, and when I say that, I recognize that not everybody is a confrontational, quote unquote, person, but there are ways that you can support someone. Even if you don't go address that person, you can walk up to them and say, hey, I saw that. It wasn't you, it was that other person. Can I just stand with you for a second? Or if you see that someone is being dismissed in a meeting, when you speak, say, as that person indicated. It only takes one small piece of action for you to stand up against injustice.